And we're live. We are live today. Hey, everybody. Ron Mauder here from Planeta.com, and this is your July 3rd, 2020 edition of Planeta Live, our talk with this week, this month, our friends from Mexico and Texas, Colibri winners, Colibri Ecotourism Award winners, and good friends. So I don't often Zoom, but when I Zoom, I like to Zoom with friends. So again, thank you, Jennifer Morfin, Marlene Ehrenberg Enriquez, Pedro Martinez, Pedro's assistant, other Marlene. Let's start with other Marlene. And can you tell us your name and introduce Pedro?
Sure. Well, nice to see you guys. My name is Marlene Hipolito. I'm Pedro's assistant. I'm also a tourist guide here in Oaxaca. And well, this is Pedro Martinez. This is boss.
Pedro, habla.
Hola, hola, Ron, pues ya mucho gusto de estar nuevamente aquí con ustedes, hablando del tema de, pues, que nos compete, ¿no? De aquí en Oaxaca, de todo lo que es el turismo, bueno, turismo de aventura en bicicleta, y pues nos da mucho gusto saludarlos nuevamente.
Marlene, can you translate that?
Sí, Pedro, Marlene, Oaxaca. No, I think we have to divide it.
The other Marlene.
Oaxaca, Marlene.
Yes, Oaxaca. Zapotec, Marlene. Well, he's very happy to be here, to talk about all of these different things, like, for example, ecotourism, tourism, and how everything's working here in Oaxaca. So he's very glad he's connecting to that.
Excellent. Cuernavaca, Marlene, can you introduce yourself?
Okay, now we're... Well, first of all, I do want to thank Ron and Jennifer because I left Mexico City where I usually live and I came to a small house I have in Cuernavaca and my whole life has changed. Definitely, if it weren't for these interviews or these moments of Zoom, I would probably only be doing housework, which is very nice, garden and cooking and taking care of my son. And the area of tourism quite abandoned. So Mexico, and in this case, Cuernavaca, is not at all, at least for me, moving. I've been in tourism for many, many years since the Olympic Games. That's 50 years, more or less. And from the very beginning, my way of thinking is to do a small, responsible tourism, taking care of nature and respecting the original communities of Mexico, their languages, their folk art, the beautiful landscape. So my tourism, or the ones we do, it has been always from the very beginning, I would say, the correct tourism. And this way of connecting with Facebook, and it's virtual, I'm not so familiar, and to tell the truth, it takes a bit well, I'm a bit elderly, and that takes a bit, it's harder to go into these little, but this is the future. I think there's at least one big part of it. So this is Marlene from Cuernavaca.
Beautiful, thank you. Jen, where are you? Where are you?
Sorry about that, I had mute. Hi, I'm Jenny Morfin. I'm currently living in San Antonio, Texas. And I've moved here almost 4 years ago. So I'm not doing much ecotourism unless in Mexico here. But I'm going into everything that is to better the relationship with myself and with others. And of course, that comes with nature. And I do everything I can to support it. I've done several things while I was in Mexico. And when Marlene was saying this part of the virtual tourism. It's interesting because I actually started with ecotourism with when I was in Fondo Mexicano para la Conservación de la Naturaleza, with all the projects around Mexico that actually were not so much yet, but doing some projects that had to do with ecotourism. So this virtual part has always been part of what I do and what I like doing, in sense of connecting what there is, and to be able to let other people know the different options that there are and how we can go better about being connected and being better with the relationship with ourselves, with the locally and with the planet. So I'm very happy to be here and to reconnect with friends and to be able to talk a little bit about what's important right nowadays, and how we can tackle all these challenges of what we can do in a day-to-day thing, and how we can do our own grain of salt with whatever we do from where we are. So thank you again for holding these lives and to reconnect with us. Ron, you've been always a great networker, and I remember meeting you back in 2002, specifically in Ecuador, in an ecotourism meeting, and you're still doing that. So thank you for all the reconnecting and networking, because it's really important.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, Jen has been wonderful this year, teaching both Marlene and myself how to Zoom, and Zoom with, let's just say it, Zoom with heart. So that's good. I'd like to share a screen and just ask you to bear with me. This is Planeta.com 2020, and this is a page about our conference call, our Zoom chat right now. I'll be updating this with what we say. So there are various topics for discussion, including the cut of the budget, el recorte de presupuesto in Mexico's aimed at CONAMP and CONAVIO, and seeing what these environmental ministries can do with 75% less money. We'll also be looking at the state of ecotourism and tourism, and again, focusing on indigenous culture, los pueblos originarios, as Marlene said. We're very excited here at Planeta. 2022 to 2032 is the International Decade of Indigenous Languages. And as a non-Indigenous person from Indiana, I have great love of these words and of these cultures and of the foods and of the people. So we'll be chatting more today, as well as in the near future, with some friends from Oaxaca. So Padushi, Dios Mep, Natandio, we'll be talking more about what's happening. There's some really critical things happening in Oaxaca right now, particularly because of the lack of tourism, both national and international. And some of these markets are really struggling to survive. So here's on the page, I direct your attention to La Cosecha, Oaxaca. Enrique Matadamas, my friend Kike, has put together a campaign on donadora.org for assisting the market. And we'll be looking at that in a future conversation with some of the friends in Oaxaca. Below that on this page, Marlene likes to talk about homework, tareas. But here are the things I'd ask you to just, if it's of interest, take a look at. The llamada urgente, the urgent call from Mexico. When we were recording our last chat, and that was World Environment Day on June 5th. And on that day, almost all of the ex-ministers of environmental agencies in Mexico sent a letter to President Obrador, to Lopez Obrador, to say, hey, don't cut the budget so much, because the proposal has been to cut the budget 75%. So this is an article with the original letter, as well as headlines about that story. And as I say, it's rolling coverage on Planeta. So we're trying to keep track of what's happening. Mexico bike tour. I hadn't done this before, but this is the page that This is the article featuring Febo, Antonio Suarez's work, and his Sunday bike tour in Mexico City. Below that, another Mexico-focused article, the sad story of the Árbol de Noche Triste, and the 500th anniversary of the Spanish defeat occurred earlier this week on June 30th. And it goes on this page, and I won't be reading all of this, but we'll be looking at some of these things in the future and for conversation. Would like to invite you to World Listening Day on the 18th and to pay attention to the 15th Biodiversity COP. That'll be taking place in early 2021, as will Responsible Travel Week. Now, Responsible Travel Week is Planeta's annual event. We started this in tandem with some rural tourism fairs in Oaxaca. Jennifer attended one. Pedro, of course, participated. Marlene was a guest of honor. Now it's completely virtual. Mark your calendar for February 8th to the 15th. And that is just a brief tour, planeta.com in July 2020. So I'm here for any comments or questions or suggestions. Como mejoramos planeta.com? Is there anything you would like to see? How do we improve planeta.com?
Well, I personally would only say that when I open Planeta, it's like opening an encyclopedia. And maybe, well, it's a very, very, how would you call it?
Is it intimidating?
Very intensive.
I don't mind. I don't mind intensive if we can actually deliver. You know, there are 7,000 pages on Planeta,
Yes,
and all of which can be updated. But it's always been very broad and very deep.
well,
I guess, Marlene, one of the questions I would have for you again is, and with Pedro, is there a way that we can amplify and focus on attentions that you're interested in? You know, in terms of, you know, you're, like we talked last time about corn, maíz, and how a lot of Europeans don't have the greatest appreciation of corn. How do we introduce mezcal or tapetes? Or
maybe I am thinking, as you put it in the first page of Planeta, I think you renew it every day. Do you renew it or every week?
changes every day, but it's based on whatever's been updated.
Maybe put a special attention on, like in this case, invite us that don't go so often into Facebook or into Planeta or into this, invite us at one certain day and say, can you tell me anything about this, instead of waiting that we open it? I get motivated when you tell me, now Marlene, what do you think about the budget? But if not, I couldn't care less. I do it on my own, and maybe I sign the letter.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm like a little old school child, but that can be a trigger. I don't know how Pedro would think about it, because that's what happens. Neither he nor I like these, how to say, this media.
Okay. Pedro, unos comentarios. Oh,
Bueno, pues sí, aquí me está traduciendo Marlene lo que están comentando. Y bueno, yo también comento aquí con Marlene de que va a ser un poquito más fácil ahora que pues está colaborando con nosotros, que podamos tener alguna aportación ahí con planeta.com y dando pues ahora sí que hablando de lo que nosotros sabemos, o sea, cada quien en lo suyo, ¿no? Y creo que eso sería muy buena, digo, qué queremos, qué podemos hacer para mejorar, para poder, inclusive, enriquecer todo lo que nos informa planeta.com. Y bueno, entonces, pues la idea es, pues también que Marlene nos sirva como algo que nosotros no podíamos hacerlo solo por cuestiones a veces de la tecnología y que se me hacía un poquito difícil, pero ahora pues ella conoce un poco más que yo y entonces vamos a intentar hacer algo que sea enriquecedor del planeta.
Right now, Pedro, I'm showing the Pedro Martinez page from Planeta.
Enseñando su página dentro de Planeta.
If you're seeing that.
Sí.
Yeah, so basically what Mr. Pedro Martinez said right now was, well, that he hopes that we can maybe add something extra to planeta.com, maybe share something more exclusive or focused in his area. And well, with my help now, we can work a little bit more with technology and maybe send more kind of like maybe summaries or a report or a tour or some experiences more personal and be like upgrading and uploading different tours, you know, for readers to maybe enjoy or read about our activities or maybe see what we do. No?
That's great. My suggestion, again, and this would be for Marlene as well, you know, when you're on the page that's about you, you can either share it, let people know about it, you put it on your Facebook or whatever channel, and or if it's not like up to date, you know, ¿cómo actualizamos esas páginas? Es una tarea que nunca va a terminar. It's a never-ending job, but you know, it's a nice testimony, but what can we show for right now? So if you have suggestions, you know, con calma. And I would propose that Marlene and Pedro and Jennifer, that Wednesday, I'd like to kind of schedule time to do an informal watch party on Facebook. We'll look at this video again. But on Wednesday, let's just be able to chat back and forth on Facebook. We're all there. Let's make some changes. If you want to develop new pages, new content, we develop new content. If I have misspelled Popocatépetl, you have to tell me I misspelled Popocatépetl.
Yeah. Ron, I wanted to say something.
Please.
I think it's just about giving back to you the idea that you gave last time when you were introducing Planeta's page just a little moment ago. And after Marlene was saying how sometimes like it's so much information, and nowadays especially like we have so much, you said yourself, it's like 7,000 pages, and I'm sure it's really good, and of course you like to be updating, but I think this sort of tour as well, like having these Zooms and, you know, like with specific topics that, you know, we can look at together. And it's not because we're not capable and you know, seeing whatever we're interested in, but having these small tours within Planeta as well, because of course, who knows better where is what, and perhaps we can organize it with different topics and, you know, look into it and see, because right now it's, you know, to do the best, let's do lemonades with the lemons we have, right? And I think that would be pretty awesome as well, like to see specific topics and dive into, like right now you just gave a little surf, you know, on what you have for July, and I think that's awesome. I think it would be really nice to have a little more, you know, time and space to double click on many of the different topics that there are, and perhaps other people would like to join, and I think that would be a really I don't know, it would be something that I would like to do as well. because sometimes you don't have the time and you're like, oh, it's really interesting, I would like to, you know, get into it. I'll do it later, and then later never comes. So if we do it together, and that way we can talk about it, and, you know, oh, perhaps we would need this and that, and, you know, and that would become like a lot more live Planeta page, I think.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. And again, I think that's, you know, one of the things in the background. We're simply learning how to Zoom, and is our volume right? Is the lighting right? And you know, and again, thank you, Marlene, for adjusting your curtains.
Yes.
You know, it's the simple things. Well, yeah, we'll look at these specific. We can look at specific topics. You can propose a specific topic. We're going to try the first Friday of the month, and we'll probably, you know, and as I say, with Jen's help, we'll schedule some things outside of that time block so that like Fernando Aguinaco can participate. As we develop this, the way that I see it, Planeta will continue to expand in video. It will share the Pedro Martinez biking videos. You know, we will figure out how to, again, focus on topics that you are interested in, you know, and again, biking and green transport is, of course, one of those. And we'll see how it connects.
Ron, I wanted to ask something. For instance, the other colibris, wouldn't it be, in a way, easier for them to say, what day is it good for you? I mean, in this case, there are 4 or 5 that don't participate. Turn it around. Let's not say, this is the day we will meet.
Marlene, that's a good suggestion, and I'd be happy to entertain that, and we'll figure that out. At the same point, it's hard enough for me to figure out what kind of time works.
Yes.
Right now, this is a great time. And Jennifer has already scheduled the first Friday of the month through the end of the year.
That's perfect. Don't move that one.
And I can commit to that. The other part is that it has to expand beyond the colibris to the amigos de colibris, and also other people around the world. You know, we have good friends, good contacts in Ecuador and Peru and Japan and London and etc. Can we, restarting tourism, can we get out of the tourism boat? In other words, what do we have in common? What I saw, for example, Rhonda Green from Wildlife Tourism Australia is now following your page on Facebook. You know, what sort of Australian-Mexican connections can there be? Pedro has clients from around the world who want to know about Bicicletas Pedro Martinez and Oaxaca. So how do we incorporate their participation? ¿Me entiendes, Pedro?
Sí, Ron. Sí,
Entonces,
sí.
tiene varios clientes alrededor del mundo que están preguntando ustedes qué está pasando, ¿no?
Sí, afortunadamente, bueno, ahorita tenemos alrededor del mundo, y los primeros que pues ya tenemos, inclusive algunos esperando nada más que abran las pistas de bicicleta en las montañas. Tengo ya algunos que ahí que se pospuso el viaje. Tengo dos, tres servicios ahí de grupo, de pequeños grupos, no son hasta eso muy grandes, eso nos favorece. Y pues sí, nada más nosotros estamos esperando. Aquí afortunadamente se hablan cosas buenas, digo, dentro de las malas, pero pues esperemos que ganen las buenas, ¿no? Porque se habla que ya la organización, ¿cómo se llama?
Safe Travel.
Ajá, abrió y ya, bueno, ya se da el certificado de que Oaxaca puede recibir turistas. Pero el aeropuerto también, ayer estaba viendo una noticia por ahí de que el aeropuerto también ya tiene así como esa certificación, ¿no? Pero pues todavía estamos pues en tiempos de cuidado, de cuidarnos, y creo que lo mejor es eso, ¿no? Llevarla con calma, tenemos muchas cosas que preparar para poder arrancar bien, y qué mejor que seamos, que tengamos ese cuidado, pues sí, trabajar conforme se nos está indicando la Organización Mundial de la Salud, toda la organización, lo que es la Secretaría de Salud de México, para poder nosotros también no caer en algún error, ¿no? Y además, digo, no queremos, ¿no? Para nadie es bueno que tengamos complicaciones.
De acuerdo. No, you know, it's interesting. In the United States, a number of businesses opened up and are now closing again because of the virus.
Especially in California.
Especially in California and Arizona.
Texas.
Texas.
There you are.
So, as I say, one of the things we'll do in the future chats, I would argue, is to do a virtual tour. We'll go on to, we'll show some of the Google Maps. We'll look at some of these places. Where do you want to return? ¿A dónde quiere regresar a visitar ustedes después la pandemia? Cuando ustedes pueden viajar. Y vamos a
Yo
ver.
tengo un grupo muy especial. My tourism has changed a little bit to people, well, not changed, but I have groups that are elderly. They don't go into Facebook. They don't go into WhatsApp.
Your elderly folks are not coming back anytime soon.
Yes, I have a group. That's what I wanted to say. That was canceled. They paid an advance payment, and I sent them precisely yesterday an information about this new certification, and they said, wonderful, let's think about it, of course. But if they're older than 60, it's a delicate group of people, I understand, but I'm just putting that, like Pedro has already, because of the bicycle, younger or stronger or healthier people. And so I have to see how I can manage. Next year, I have an annual group, which is my, let's say, my star group. These are mixed, some young, some elderly, and I do a tour of some area of Mexico, some different area of Mexico. The next year, supposedly, I'm going to design, or I'm designing a tour to Colima with this special group that I have. So my rhythm is a bit unusual, but anyhow, these virtual tours, I was thinking about it. Can I say which one I thought about?
Tell me.
I was thinking about one along Mexico City Reforma.
Reforma.
I mean, people along the Avenue Paseo de la Reforma. People can walk with certain distance, respecting distance. So maybe I don't have the elements, but maybe even Febo can do it, either walking or on a bicycle with a camera on its head, and like saying, this is the Avenida Reforma, we have this, that, and the other. Also, I don't know how you say in English, sendero interpretativo, because along the Reforma, we have about at least 20 different species of trees and whatever. and combine it with culture. Yes, El Foco does it, but he does it more towards the buildings. I was thinking more about Mexico City being a garden city. I promoted the idea of the festival of the jacarandas some years ago.
1 second. That's we're looking at the El Foco Twitter feed. Look, this week they're at the Buena Vista station.
Right.
That's wonderful. But and a few weeks ago, they recorded a 2 or 3 part series of visiting Reforma.
Okay, then that's done.
And well, it's done. Well, again, the question is figuring out connections. You have 3 hours of these people writing down Reforma, seeing the buildings, talking about the history, seeing the woman who posed for the Ángel de Independencia, or no, it was Diana.
La Diana Cazadora.
Diana. The model, they interviewed the lady on El Foco. But when you see a video like that, and if you are kind of intrigued, then you would like to make a tour of your very own. And whether it's auto-guided, or if it's guided by a professional like yourself or Oaxaca Marlene, then that's again what we use the internet for, in terms of saying, hey, if you like this, you'll really like this. And again, when we talk about languages, you know, we're doing most of this in English, because great majority of Planeta viewer readers are English speakers, not so much in Spanish. Quite a bit in Spanish, but it's like only Spanish. So we're trying to find the happy median here.
Do you have a connection directly with Foco, you yourself?
Just doing a lot of retweeting and liking of their post.
No, but I mean a true connection with them.
I told you,
That's a start.
That's as connected as we're getting. And I'd like to thank you for retweeting me this week, Marlene. For an older person who's stubborn about the internet, you keep on making progress forward.
Yes, you are.
But again, talk about bicycles. And if you'd like to have a bicycle focus chat in September and August,
That could be fun.
And again, Pedro has already uploaded so many wonderful videos to his YouTube channel. Pedro, sigue subiendo videos.
Sí. Sí, seguimos bueno, ahorita pues como no podemos hacer muchos videos, además que, bueno, hay o pensé que podía ser una controversia entre lo que dice que dicen la Organización Mundial de la Salud o la Secretaría de Salud Nacional, de promover la activación física. Y como que no, algunos amigos así como que no queríamos hacer algo que mostrara que nosotros seguíamos haciendo ejercicio. Para nosotros como deportistas es algo muy importante mantenernos físicamente bien, porque esto nos, no, aparte de que pues la edad no es importante, pero teniendo una fortaleza física, ahora sí que por experiencia se los digo, da muchos muy buenos resultados, ¿no? Y es lo mejor que podemos hacer. Y entonces promover videos de lo que estábamos haciendo, de lo que estamos haciendo, o muchas fotos y todo, pues casi no lo estamos haciendo. Nosotros seguimos haciendo deporte, ¿no? Seguimos haciendo, inclusive ahorita estoy haciendo actividad de bicicleta más fuerte que cuando estoy trabajando. Porque ahorita tengo, es como he puesto por ahí comentando, es lo mejor o lo bueno que me ha dejado la pandemia, ¿no? De poder ejercitarme lo suficientemente que en tiempos de trabajo no puedo. y ahorita estoy haciendo muchos kilómetros, y me siento bien. Eso es muy importante también, tener estar consciente hasta cuánto es tu capacidad, ¿no? O sea, no sobrepasarte de tu capacidad que puedas tener. Eso puede venir un desfallecimiento y que puede causar problemas de salud, inclusive que pueden darte, pues por ahí alguna situación tu organismo se descompensa y podríamos caer en un problema que al rato nos podrían relacionar con la pandemia, ¿no? Entonces, siempre hacer la activación física, pero con ahora sí que con mucho cuidado, si sabemos hacerlo, saber no llegar a los límites, ¿no? Sino,
Well, one second, let me ask you this. Legally, are you allowed to do biking in Oaxaca?
mira, legalmente competitivo no, pero aquí en Oaxaca se está rodando sobre las carreteras, no se está entrando a los pueblos donde hay proyectos de ecoturismo. Eso es muy importante que lo sepan todos. No se está, por respeto a que los pueblos tienen pues tratan de ser lo más cuidadosos posible en estos tiempos difíciles. Cerraron sus entradas, hay inclusive comités que están cuidando las entradas. En algunos, por ahí, pueblos llegaron al principio, cuando inició este problema, llegaron familias de la Ciudad de México, de Estados Unidos, pero fueron tan, vamos a decirlo, llevaron una responsabilidad, o quisieron ser tan responsables que les dijeron a las familias, pues si ustedes ahorita disculpen, pero si ya llegaron, visiten y se van, porque el problema es que no vamos a dar que esto se siga, no, que se continúe, que la gente que está afuera venga, porque de fuera puede venir el problema, ¿no? Entonces se cerraron, inclusive hay algunas comunidades que tuvieron que regresar a sus familias, inclusive siendo familias del pueblo, pero que vivían en la Ciudad de México, y les dijeron, pues ya, porque llegaron ahorita, pero duermen y se van a tener que regresar, porque no queremos que más familias lleguen de fuera y que puedan traernos el contagio, ¿no? Entonces creo que hay las comunidades son unas de las que en todo lo que es Oaxaca, de lo que yo conozco, de lo que he salido a rodar, yo puedo rodar sobre carretera federal o carretera libre, pero no puedo rodar dentro de los pueblos.
Okay,
Pero eso pasa en toda la República, Pedro.
So what Pedro is saying is that for physically, he can stay on the main roads or the back roads without beyond the communities, not interacting. He can do his endurance rides, but that the rides to communities are kind of off limits in order to protect the communities. Is that a fair assessment?
The entrance to any village is blocked.
Yeah, right here in Oaxaca, well, majority of the state, we're 570 municipalities, and these small municipalities have let's say they don't, more than 50% of those 570 are governed by the people. No, and this brother is talking about the communities that have a lot of ecotourism, and people decided to close their areas, protect their barriers, no, and not allowing even family members coming back to this municipality. No, for example, Mexican family that lives in Mexico and comes back, like for example, for a retreat back to the Sierra, no, the mountains. They're not allowed to go inside. They need to return to Mexico. And this is again the towns, all of them agreeing to not receiving any other person from the outside. No, that's what basically Pedro said, and that's why he's just riding around like the roads. No? He's doing.
Right. No, I think one of the questions we have is, where are we? Because we're all at different stages in this crisis. Governments have different responses. Sometimes we have to be more cautious than even the politics suggest.
Mhm.
You know, just
Yeah.
because, you know, like just because you can go to the day club pool doesn't mean you should go to the day club swimming pool. So we're learning. And again, each month this is changing.
Yes, example, sorry, can I take the word? For example, like now, like you said, everything's changing. Now, like Oaxaca recently received the Safe Travel logo, no seal, that they can now travel to Oaxaca. But before all of this happened, well, Oaxaca is a state that maintains itself on tourism. No, receiving no tourism made a lot of economic drop down here in the state. No, and also government, government hasn't done much, no, to help out small communities. That's why they work inside of them. No, they work and they, for example, their crops, their food, everything. Well, it's good for them because they can sell in their community but not sell outside. Now, in other words, the government also has amplified on these teaching courses that you can take online of COVID. No, so for example, Pedro has taken the 5-hour course now to prepare himself for receiving tourism. In this case, as I was listening earlier, Marlene also said that she's going to receive an elders group. No, and in the government page, there is an area that's called claims that connects it to the social security operation of, let's say, health insurance here in Mexico. And those courses are offered to us by them, and gives you a special certificate like this one. I don't know if you can see it, that says that you're certified, to receive people and to know how to protect yourself from the COVID. And this is also ensuring tourists that we can be ready to receive them, and we are ready to, we'll take care of all of the different sanitary issues.
Beautiful. No, it's great to see such progress there in times where not much is.
I would very much appreciate if Marlene Oaxaca can, via maybe this way, send us that information. That would help even for me to send it to my elderly people in Los Angeles.
Of course, we can send you the webpage. It's actually very easy. You connect to claims.gov, and they would send you automatically to different courses that you can take depending on your area. If you're a mechanic, if you're a farm worker, if you're maybe like ecotourism, if you work in hotels, they send you a special course, 5 to 6 hours. You take the course, everything has to do with COVID, the preventions. And at the end of the course, you can download your own certificate. And this is actually something that the government might request maybe later on, throughout the year.
Okay.
Can I ask all of you for a favor? If there's a resource that you would recommend, can you post that on our Facebook page?
That's what I meant.
As a response to this, okay, as a response to this video?
Yes.
And we'll compile all of those resources in the show notes and on the Planeta page.
Okay.
Bravísimo, very good, Pedro, bravo.
Gracias. Bueno, tratamos de hacer lo mejor o que se pueda. Creo que es difícil evitar alguna cuestión que pudiera pasar, pero bueno, entre más cuidadosos seamos, que esté dentro de nuestras posibilidades, lo vamos a hacer. Nosotros creo que esa es una de la importancia que pues que queremos que seguir trabajando o iniciar más bien, reiniciar nuestras actividades y hacerlo.
Pero finalmente, Pedro, depende tu ruta. Sí. Your route will depend on which village actually will be open in many ways.
Sí, bueno, estamos esperando, creo que ahorita estamos en comunicación ya con algunas comunidades de la Sierra Norte. Estamos ahí, tenemos, bueno, afortunadamente tengo muy buena relación con ellos y comunicación. Y entonces, pues estamos hablando que pues vamos a tratar de apoyarnos porque a todos queremos que esto se reinicie. Necesitamos, la economía, pues ahorita está por los suelos y necesitamos unirnos para poder, en cuanto se pueda, en cuanto ya se nos dé luz verde, poder hacer equipo y poder, pues, empezar a trabajar lo mejor que se pueda, ¿no? Pero como siempre,
Pedro, is
lo más
Teotitlán closed?
sí, Teotitlán también está cerrado, sí. Sí,
Ya,
todo,
sí.
además, todo lo que es el valle, les quiero que sepan, todo lo que es el valle, así por muy pequeño el pueblo, aunque no tengan proyectos de ecoturismo, están cerrados. Yo estoy saliendo a diferentes puntos en bicicleta con mis amigos, con mis dos amigos, porque hasta eso no somos grupo grande, somos tres solamente los que salimos juntos. Entonces, ya sea por el norte, hacia el oeste, hacia el este, hacia el sur, todos los pueblos, por muy pequeños, tienen esa seguridad de que no entran extraños al pueblo, ¿no? Y que solamente
Así es.
tienen y no salen así, digo, salen solamente para sus necesidades que requieren, pero siempre inclusive han tapado los caminos con tierra, o sea, no entran vehículos así a menos caminando, ¿no? Pero están, si ven extraños en los pueblos, pues los sacan, ¿no? O no les permiten, pues accesar, o a menos que vayan por algo muy importante, ¿no? Ajá. Creo que eso también ha hecho que, pues en los pueblos no ha habido tanto problema. Han habido, digo, porque sí se han escuchado algunos casos, pero no es así como que muy complicado. Donde se ha tornado más complicado es donde hay, pues, pueblos más grandes que se reúnen en los mercados, en eso. Pero creo que la ventaja que los pueblos son muy, cuando se organizan y quieren lograr algo, lo logran porque son muy unidos. Así es.
Como nosotros, hay que unirnos.
Claro
Just
que
like that. We just have to become connected. Hey,
Yeah.
Pedro and Oaxaca, Marlene, what is the status of Guelaguetza?
Well, Guelaguetza right now, government made an official announcement that was canceled. It's canceled for this year, well, at least for July, it's completely canceled. He's proposing to make the Guelaguetza in December, no? But of course, a lot of people are not okay with this. Why? Because Guelaguetza has a special sense, no? A special tradition. It's a tradition to make it on July, not to celebrate it in December. In December, we have other festivities, no? Fiestas decembrinas. And people here don't wanna combine them. So they're just, they're okay
Very
with
good.
no?
Well, one second. You know, Guelaguetza is a festival in Oaxaca on the 2 Mondays after Dia de San Carmen, the 16th of July. Unless that Monday falls on the 18th, which is the anniversary of Benito Juarez's death, which extends the celebrations by a week. Celebrations by a week. Marlene knows the story of the Hotel Monte Alban, and they performed Guelaguetza for visitors as a visitor attraction.
Yeah.
30, 40 years. I'm assuming that's not happening now.
Well, not only Hotel Monte Alban was one of the first ones that started with that presentation. It's also offered nowadays in Quinta Real. Quinta Real offers this show every Friday, now with a Oaxacan buffet, all the moles. And now they recently opened another hotel, sorry. It's a block away from Quinta Real. It's called Casa Murguia. Casa Murguia also offers a Guelaguetza, and Mayordomo, Chocolate Mayordomo, the restaurant also offers Guelaguetza. But because of all of this, of the pandemic and of the virus, everything has been closed, postponed, and up to new updates. Yet we don't know when are we actually gonna have everything, as normal as it used to be.
You know, one of the wonderful things I'll say about Marlene Ehrenberg in Cuernavaca is that she helped translate information about the Guelaguetza auf Deutsch into German so that her visitors would understand a little bit about the history and the story of this. And this goes back, well, just a couple years ago, you started working in Oaxaca, right, Marlene?
Yes, yes, I had forgotten it.
We had a Guelaguetza here in Henderson, Nevada about 10 years ago. And again, there are many Oaxacans in the United States, and those events are just wonderful wherever they are. We'll be paying.
Sorry, just yesterday I was in another meeting and they were saying that for the first time in 75 years, the UN is having, you know, the General Assembly, and that usually is every year in September. For the first time, it's going to be all virtual. So, of course, Oaxacan are going to say, you know, they want to do, but you know, it's something that everybody's doing, and we have to comply, and we have to find ways of keep being connected and doing things, even though it's not the way we used to do it. And of course, we liked the way we did it, but we need to adapt and to be able to see how we can continue with our traditions and everything, but keeping safe. So kudos for Pedro and Marlene and everybody that's adapting.
Also, remember recently the gay LTT, I don't know what, they also
LGTB.
made it, yes, they didn't go on their carnival or whatever you want to call it. So I think that those are the things that will change. Maybe they can make a virtual Guelaguetza, Marlene, Oaxaca.
Well, if there's a way, there is a way you can make a virtual Guelaguetza, but that would also bring the people, doing the Guelaguetza. It's gonna call for big groups of people getting together for this recording. No, it
Very
will be
difficult.
people coming from each region, traveling to Oaxaca and concentrating here, which is right now what the government doesn't want to do. Bring people from all around the valley to dance, because he doesn't want to gather big groups of people. So that might be a good idea, but maybe them recording the video at the region, sending them to the government, and the government making maybe a Guelaguetza virtual, but not actually having all the people at the same place at the same time.
Exactamente, así.
In the work that we're doing here on Planeta, the question is, can we again improve our coverage and our explanation of Guelaguetza? Can we show videos of previous Guelaguetzas? And again, there is so much culture. Guelaguetza is usually performed by the communities, often beginning with a presentation in their native language. And again, how do we again give value and appreciate and translate, Padushi? How do we, explain some of these terms? And again, this is so important as we approach this International Decade of Indigenous Languages.
What's Padushi?
Oaxaca.
Sorry.
Padushi, Marlene had previously said that. It's a greeting.
Oh.
You can say Padush or Padushi. In the Valle, you would say Zakshtil, depending on the time of day. And again, it just goes on and on. It's this infinite language bubble. But again, how do we explain Guelaguetza? And there are different interpretations of it. What I find fascinating is that as it became commercialized, it was first performed as a government ceremony in 1932, the year my father was born. Before that, it was a village tradition, but it kind of got cemented as a promotion of the Pan American Highway. How do we make use of this road? Well, we'll get people to come to Oaxaca. And that was one of the ways to do it. Anyway, wonderful concept. And wherever and whenever it's held, we'll be trying to explain it to people and promoting the performers and their villages and their culture. No more baseball. Los guerreros no están jugando tampoco.
No, nobody, nadie. No baseball, no soccer, nothing. Yes, everyone is, well, in their houses at least, and trying to prevent all of this from expanding. But now that we hear some rumors that Oaxaca is going to go from a red light, well, the light is what the government is using, red light, green light, and yellow light, to let us know how good or bad we're doing. Oaxaca was on red light, and apparently it's turning into a yellow light this weekend. So let's hope that's good. And when this turns into a yellow light, this means more business will be open. And people are going to start coming back. But of course, always wearing their protective, well, essential, like their face mask, protecting themselves.
Right. Well, we will stay in touch with
I
that.
wanted to, yes,
We will stay in
I
touch with
wanted
that.
to mention, excuse me.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead, Ron. No, I just wanted
wrapping-
to mention. Huh?
So we are
Sorry.
wrapping up, and I'm
I
going
want-
to ask for final comments of people, starting with Marlene.
Okay. Okay, no, well, because I was thinking of Jennifer living in San Antonio with the river. And I remembered that a few years ago, that's the last thing I want to say, I suggested to take a trajinera from Xochimilco all the way to the San Antonio. I proposed it to the cultural organization at that time. I don't know if they did it, to tell you the truth. And the other thing was that they have these boats along the river. Do they serve dinner or something like what we do in Xochimilco, Jennifer?
They do the little boat rides, and they do some, for example, last year, it was the first year that they started doing the, like a boat thing with, for muertos, Dia de Muertos, with different arrangements. And it was the first time. I think it's gonna catch up and be a thing, but none such thing as trajineras. That would be nice. We need the Marlene here.
Marlene, do you have a Marlene, do you have a trajinera named after you?
Oh yeah, I've been on it with her, of course.
Yes.
But that would be a nice idea to connect Mexico and San Antonio and have at least one boat from Xochimilco, especially. If it
That'd be
says
nice.
Xochimilco, it would be super. Well, that's all I have to say as a proposal. Let's see how we can invent it, Jennifer.
I like it. I like it. We can see how we can promote it and see who we need to talk to. And you're gonna have to connect me with the trajineras people so we can end up talking a little more about it. But yeah, thanks. Good idea.
Okay.
Pedro, unos comentarios finales.
Pues, me dio mucho gusto estar con ustedes, platicando un poco, y pues en la próxima, bueno, también darles, sí, compartirles acerca de lo que estamos haciendo aquí en Oaxaca, y y pues que sigamos en estas reuniones, pues podamos tener algunas, ustedes saber cómo está Oaxaca, o cómo podemos, algunas ideas de cómo vamos a poder reiniciar nuestras actividades, y con mucho gusto. Yo no había confirmado, Ron, disculpa, porque yo tenía planeado, o me habían por ahí que posiblemente teníamos una reunión, y tengo un caso por ahí de unas bicicletas que se llevaron, y estoy resolviendo ese asunto. Entonces
Sí,
por esa razón
Suerte.
estamos viendo. Sí, gracias, afortunadamente parece que vamos por buen camino, esperemos que así sea, y era por eso, Ron, que no te confirmaba, pero con gusto aquí estamos. Muchas gracias, un gusto saludarlas, Marlene, Jennifer, o Jenny, perdón, Jenny.
Oh,
Perdón.
como sea.
Rom. A ver.
Thank you. Jennifer, any final comments?
Um,
Oh, what-
no, Marlene iba a decir. Primero, vas, Marlene, Oaxaca.
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for inviting. And well, we hope. Well, we are gonna share on the page the link for you guys to get documents, the certificates for the tourism constant. But well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marlene. And Jenny now.
Yes. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. I think it was really interesting, and I think there were little things that we learned that are very useful for us and for a lot of other people. So I think that not being able to travel is a bummer, but it's really great that we can, learn more about what we're doing and what we can do through this ways. And if other people come, and that way we connect all the knowledge that there is, we can keep learning together and keep doing better things, more connected. So thank you again for holding them. It was really nice to see Pedro, Marlene, to meet you and to have all the knowledge. Marlene Ehrenberg and Ron, thank you again for joining us here in this great chat.
Well, thank you, everybody. And it's been a wonderful chat, and we'll do it again next month. Thanks.
We will. Thank you so much.
Very, very motivating.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So see you.